Hello everybody, my name's Katie, welcome to the Book Buddies, and I apologize for the horrible lighting, but it is like 9 p.m. and there is no other lights to use, and the one that's like directly in front of me is just making me look like a ghost. I mean, I'm already pale, but like the difference between my face and my neck in this lighting is actually ridiculous. But anyway, sorry about this video being late. I messed up my other videos, so this one is late. I will be changing my uploading schedule to Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays instead of it being Sundays and Wednesdays, and the Tuesday, Thursday videos are kind of, they can be changed, kind of always be 2 videos a week, or I mean 3 videos a week, but there will more than likely be 3 videos, or 2 videos at least. Today's video is going to be my audiobook recommendations. I read a lot of audiobooks. I really enjoy audiobooks, and I think other people should listen to them too because they're great for when you just need to sit down and do stuff, but you want to read. So for this video, I have 5 books, or well, I have 5 series really that I would recommend to you to read. Unfortunately, I only have with me 1 series. I do own 3 of the, or 2 of these. I own 3 technically. And it's really more like 4 series and 1 author specifically. First series that I recommend you listening to is going to be the Howl's Moving Castle trilogy by Dino and Jones. So you have Howl's Moving Castle, Castle in the Air, and House of Many Ways. These are all 3 read by Jenny Sterlin. And she is a wonderful narrator. Because this is about the audiobooks, I'm not really going to go into what the books are about, just letting you know now. Anyway, she's a very wonderful reader. She does a really good job of doing all of the voices, I would say, and she has a really nice English accent because it's an English book. There were a couple of times where she was reading where I was like, is this actually a girl the whole time? Because she does a really good job on her male voices as well as her female voices. She has a good cadence to her voice, and she makes the pacing, or she does a really good job with the pacing. With these 3 books, I actually listened to them on just the first speed. I didn't speed them up at all, and honestly, it worked wonderfully. It was really good. The next series I'm going to recommend you listen to is the Darker Shade of Magic series, or trilogy. The first book is A Darker Shade of Magic, second book is A Gathering of Shadows, and third book is the third book is A Conjuring of Light, and this is Shades of Magic, actually. Yeah, that's the series name, Shades of Magic, and these are read by 3 different people. The first book is read by, no, that's not what I wanted. The first book is read by Stephen Crossley, and the second and third books are narrated by Michael Kramer and Kate Reading. I will say that while I don't think Stephen Crossley is a bad reader, he's not the greatest either. He has a bit of an older voice, and I would definitely recommend not really recommend changing readers because there's only 1 reader, but like for his, I would say if you've tried to read these and you couldn't really get past him specifically, I would say just push on until you get to the 2 narrators, because Michael Kramer and Kate Reading Reading, I'm not sure, do a really wonderful job. Again, kind of the same thing with the Howl's Moving Castle books. I would say that the 2 of them, or the 3 of them really, do a very good job of their pacing. Specifically, Stephen Crowley, actually, I think he does a good job on his pacing. Honestly, the only downfall to the first audiobook is that his voice is a lot older, so his female voices are not very good, and it's sometimes hard to tell who's talking when he's doing lots of female voices all at once. Definitely not the best choice for this series. However, I don't think he does a bad job. Michael Kramer and Kate Reading do a very good job of making sure that you know who's talking. They have good voices. And again, good pacing, that kind of thing. I really appreciate having the two narrators because you get dual perspective, one in the main character Kel's perspective and the other one in Eliza's. I'd say that the two narrators actually are probably some of the best narrators that I've found, and I would definitely want to look at more of their specific work because I really enjoyed it, especially if they work together again. The third series I recommend is actually is my favorite middle grade series, and it is Artemis Fowl by Owen Colfer. These are all narrated by Nathaniel Parker, who is an actual actor. And you can tell all of his voices are fantastic. I actually listened to these books instead of reading them. I do own all of the book, or all but the last book, but I didn't actually read them. I listened to them on audio, and I would say that it's probably the best way to read these. If you enjoy audiobooks, obviously. If you don't enjoy audiobooks, then I'm not sure why you're here. One of the main reasons that I really enjoyed these were specifically the character voices. He does an amazing job with the accents and with the different accents. There were only probably 2 voices overall that I didn't like as much as everybody else's that were pretty prominent in at least the first 4 books, but I still really liked most of the voices. My favorite voice that he does is Butler. Just saying. Butler is my favorite character, and he does a fantastic job. When listening to these, it's actually really easy to get lost in the story, unlike with some characters where the reader is, or with some books where the reader is hard to... You can tell when there's a bad author when you know that you're listening to an audiobook and that kind of thing. And it's not like the same kind of experience as reading. You know what I mean? And for these, it was definitely very much I still felt like I was reading these. I still felt like I was getting lost in this story and just disappearing into the pages, even if I wasn't reading, or even though I wasn't reading. And the next book series that I have for you is Lady Trent by Marie Brennan, or a memoir by Lady Trent by Marie Brennan. These books are A Natural History of Dragons, Tropic of Serpents, The Voyage of the Basilisk, and The Labyrinth of Drakes. These are read to you by, wait for it, Kate Redding, my favorite female reader. When I said that I was going to start looking, before when I said that I was looking specifically for books that they read, I mean, I looked through Kate Redding's things, found the story that I thought would be the most interesting, and picked that one. And this is what came up, a memoir by Lady Trent. These are some really, really good books, just in and of themselves. They are very, very good. They're entertaining, they're well-paced, they're it's a simple plot, but it's a good plot. I listened to the first 2 books, A Natural History of Dragons and The Tropic of Serpents, and I love these audiobooks. Unlike the other audiobooks where I kind of want to buy the actual book itself, like A Gathering of Shadows and all of those, or A Darker Shade of Magic, I want to own these. These I'm okay with keeping as audiobooks because I honestly don't need the books because I have the audiobook. Whereas with the Darker Shade of Magic series, or Shades of Magic, I kind of do want to go back and try to read them. It was the same reason I got Artemis Fowl, and while I actually read these first, I really, really enjoy the audiobooks. It's something that I like to do, is go back and consume them, I guess, in the opposite way. So if I read a book first, I like to go back and listen to the audiobook a lot of the time. Not every time, but a lot of the time. And same and vice versa. Books that I consumed in audio, I like to go back and read. However, these, I'm perfectly content just listening to the books. I don't need to go back and read them, which I think is really good. I don't feel like I'm missing anything with the way that she reads to where I would need to go back and buy the book and just make sure kind of thing, which I really appreciate. Kate Redding is one of my favorite readers, and honestly, if you can find stuff by her that sounds interesting to you, read it. She does a wonderful job. She has very good voices. She's good at pacing, and she gives you a good feel for the atmosphere that's surrounding the book. And for the last of my audiobook recommendations, it's an author himself, and it is Neil Gaiman. I don't think I've ever like watched an audiobook recommendations video where Neil Gaiman was not mentioned, because he does a fabulous job reading his own books. I haven't ever actually sat down and read one of his books. I think the only one that I like sat and did like back and forth, or the only two, was Neverwhere and The Graveyard Book. Even then, listening to him is so much more like atmospheric and interesting than sitting and reading them yourself. I think it's just the way he speaks and the pace that he talks with when he reads that you just really get sucked into it. I adore his audiobooks. My favorite one of his is actually The Ocean at the End of the Lane. If you can find that audiobook, if you can get that audiobook somewhere, please go and give it a read or give it a listen, because that one is my overall favorite of his. Definitely my recommendation. Same for story-wise. It's my favorite story of his. So, just saying, you should go and read it. Just saying. If you want to know good sites to read off of, there's obviously Audible. If you have the money for Audible, it is $14.95 a month. That's a little bit out of my price range. I did used to use Audible quite a bit, and that's where I have the Darker Shade of Magic series and A Natural History of Dragons, or the Marie Memoirs by Lady Trent series. I got those off of Audible, as well as some books that are coming up on my next TBR, I'm thinking. But anyway, that's not the point. Another one, if you don't mind paying a little bit of money, but it's not too expensive, is actually Scribd. The problem with Scribd is, while it's only $8.99 a month and you get all of the books in their library, the books in the library come and go. So, for instance, I had a little bit of trouble when I was looking for the Howl's Castle trilogy, because it was on Scribd and it's no longer on Scribd. You can no longer listen to it. In fact, all of her books have been taken off of audio except for the Dark Lord of Dirkholm. That is the biggest downfall to Scribd. They do take their books off and put them back on later. However, and they don't have as many books as are on Audible, but the books that aren't on Audible, I don't miss that much. Another one, if you like to listen to classics and don't really mind the quality, I guess, of the production, is LibriVox.org. They do all public domain books, and while the reading is not super professional, it is tolerable for most of the time. Look them up. Just saying. People post them all the time. Listen to them quickly, because they will get taken down fast, but they do get posted. Just saying. Okay, that's all for the video. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you so wish. I will leave the links to our social medias, so my and Kayleen, or my Goodreads, and the Instagram, because I am technically on the Instagram, even though I never post anything ever. That is where Kayleen posts the most often. We're almost at 300 followers. I think we're about 10 behind or so. It's gone down a little bit in the last few days because neither of us were posting, which, you know, it's great. I will also be leaving links to all of these books that I've talked about Goodreads, or at least the first books in the series, as well. If you would like me to do any specific videos, please be sure to comment down below and tell me what they are, because I will gladly do them. I really don't care what it is, just nothing that's dangerous, please. I don't want to die or injure myself, because knowing me, I would. That being said, I post on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Tuesdays and Thursdays are going to be these kinds of videos where I sit down and talk to you, and Sundays are going to be weekly updates, which may or may not be vlogs starting this week, so be sure to check that out. Anyway, thank you for watching. Until next time, happy reading!